Michael Stets with the Fight Nerd. I'm here post-fight Bellator 83 in Atlantic City with Bellator CEO Bjorn Rebney. Bjorn, obviously disappointed. Main event was off the cards due to food poisoning. Very rare, huh?
About as rare as it gets, brother. 83 shows we've done, and that is the first time that has ever happened. So, it's sport. It's live sports competition. Weird stuff's going to happen, but you never would expect it, but it happened. And, he's okay, thank goodness, and hopefully we can get it done next week.
You felt the commission made the right decision? I mean, throwing up, lack of electrolytes, weakness could be tough to go into a 3.
Yeah, I mean, look, and especially against a guy like Brad Martinez, who's got a gas tank that's reminiscent of Daniel Strauss's. He can go all day at 120%, and he's going to take just the heart and soul out of anybody he fights. Yeah, I think that's, look, we wanted the fight to go on. Shamalaev wanted the fight to go on. Rad wanted the fight to go on. The TV network wanted the fight to go on. Somebody's got to step up and be the adult and go, hey, he's vomiting. We're gonna have to tell you no go. And I appreciate and respect that. I mean, you'd love to see the fight happen, but the more important thing is that the guys are okay and that nobody, you don't have a serious issue on your hands, and that could lead to it. So
those two should lock horns next Friday is the tentative date?
Man, I hope so. I mean, that's the plan. That's what I'd like to see happen. We've got a spot on the show. We can put them on the televised event. I got to work through it with Rad. And obviously, Rad has got some responsibilities that are pretty substantial at home. But my fingers are crossed that we can get it done next week.
And last time we spoke about how women's MMA is starting to steal the show. Here we go, Jessica Evil Eye. Did you ever think she'd just walk through Zoila Gurgel like that?
Never. I didn't think so. No, I mean, and I'm just being honest. I didn't think that was not an outcome that I expected that we would see. An early finish with a spectacular right hand followed up by a standing submission. No, but I mean, her game is just evolving at such a spectacular rate. I thought she looked awesome tonight, and Zoila looked really good coming out. I know her camp had been going good because I've been keeping track of it. I thought Jessica just looked great. She is really turning herself into one of the up-and-coming stars in the women's MMA game, and she can really fight. So, she's got all the pieces of the puzzle.
And look, going forward, what would be next? I know I asked you at the presser about possibly a 125 tournament, but what's next for Zoila? A non-title loss. She is still the champ, and what's next for Jessica Eye?
Well, I've got to get my head wrapped around if we can do 125 win and what it would look like. Would it be 8 fighters? Would it be 4 fighters? How would we make that work, given the some of the spectacular talent we've got at 25, but the lack of real substantial depth? So that's the first consideration, and then Zoila's just got to get back on the winning track. We've got to get her another fight. We've got to get her back inside the cage and get her a win. And then, hopefully be able to put a 125 tournament together in short order. I don't think it'll happen the first season on Spike, but we got to get our arms wrapped around 25 and put together a tournament there, because I mean, if nothing else, Jessica deserves it in terms of how well she has performed and elevated her game.
And just a couple more housekeeping questions. Obviously, season 7 just about due to close. You're moving to Spike. Are there any things that we're going to see change? Will there be any Bellator rebranding? Anything different coming aside from the switch to Spike?
Yeah, you'll see some production changes, some production enhancements. You'll see some slight deviations in the look. Everything from the open to the music to the bumps to the features. You'll see changes and evolution in all of them. We spent the last 6 months kind of recrafting a lot of the things, and you'll see all the launches when we get to Spike. But I'm excited about them. They stay true to who we are. I mean, it's not as if we're, flipping at 360 or 180 degrees, but there are some changes, and I think their changes are going to make for a more compelling TV show and better live events.
And there were some early reports that Boardwalk Hall was booked for January. Is that true?
Well, we haven't made an official announcement in terms of the kickoff date yet, but Atlantic City has been very, very good to us.
And how about the rematch clause? Can you break down the basic X's and O's of how that would come into play going forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, I sat down with our team for over a year and tried to talk through the dynamics of staying true to our philosophy and who we are as a company and the objectivity of the tournament format, the pure sports dynamic that is Bellator. But also, how could we create a structure that stayed true to that, but if we got another Alvarez-Chandler type of fight, to be able to redo it? And so the concept was one that I shared with my partner Kevin Kay at Spike Network and my whole team, and we sat down and really came up with the fact that, look, if you've won the toughest tournament in sports, if you've won those fights, you've earned your shot at the title, and or you're the champion, if you have a fight that has the makings of Alvarez versus Chandler and it's that epic and fans want to see the rematch that badly, we want to be in a position to say, look, we're going to do a rematch. You've gone through the tournament, you've earned your spot, it's an epic world title fight, let's do it again. So that's how it'll work. It'll ultimately be one of those things where you and I could watch the fight together, and we'd go, wow, Alvarez Chandler was awesome, let's do that again.
So if a guy gets finished or gets beaten really bad, it's not going to be a rematch. It's going to have to be worthy of a...
Yeah, or if it goes, I mean, look, Alvarez got submitted and got completely finished by Chandler, but the 4 rounds preceding it were some of the best rounds of mixed martial arts fighting I've ever seen. So it'll really depend on the circumstance. I mean, look, there are fights that last a round that we watch 30 times on YouTube. And if it's one of those fights where both guys are giving everything they have, and neither guy takes a step back, and it's just epic, and one guy gets caught and goes to sleep, we will probably do that again. It'll be a judgment call, but it'll be a judgment call that all of us as MMA fans can look at and say, I would love to see that again. They deserve to do that fight again.
Cool. And any word on Eddie Alvarez? I know it's been kind of quiet. Any news about him has been kind of quiet lately.
I think we'll be in a position to ultimately kind of figure that whole thing out over the next week or two. I'm sure we'll get a chance to review the contract that he'll be offered from the UFC and then make a determination if we're going to match or not. I mean, Eddie's awesome. Spectacular fighter, great personality, great dude, and has never actually had anything other than wildly exciting fights inside of arcade. So, we'll see. We'll see. As soon as we have a chance to review that agreement, it shouldn't take us much time to make a decision to either match or not match.
And lastly, January, a big move to Spike. Will you be coming guns blazing January? Will we see 1 or 2 title fights perhaps in the first card?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to come out of the box, like we said, we've got 6 world title fights in the can right now ready to rock and roll. So we're going to come out of the box very strong. There are some amazing fights that we've got coming up, and over the first 3 or 4 shows, you will see a lot of those fights, and it'll be an explosive beginning to this great relationship.
Bjorn, we're looking forward to it. Thanks very much for a few minutes.
Thanks, man.